let us begin. This is your day 3. I'm not really sure if I gave you a day 1 critique, but let's jump into liquefy right away. A big part of studying faces is studying the skeletal structure, and it shows right away. I know right away that you haven't spent time on the skeletal structure or studying the skeleton of the human being. The skeleton chooses, not really, no, governs, dictates how the flesh forms on the body, on the face. And sometimes, some of you, when you draw, you think it's all just muscles. You think it's all just features, eyes, nose, and mouth. It doesn't work like that. The key word here, and sort of the motto of this whole class, there's a lot of mottos, but one of them is function. You have to understand the function of what it is you're drawing. The function explains to you why something is the way it is. For instance, if you're crossing the street and you have to make sure you're crossing the street looking both ways, would you cross the street looking both ways? Would you do it just by being told to do it, or would you do it better if you knew the consequences of not doing it? You would cross it much more efficiently, a lot more carefully, with a lot of caution, if you knew that if you didn't watch both ways and if you didn't look both ways, you would kill yourself. You would eventually die because a car would somehow not brake fast enough in the time that you are on the street, and you would lose your legs and you would be paralyzed and you would never draw forever. Okay, so the point of this, what I'm trying to say with that morbid metaphor, is please understand why you're making these choices in your work. If you do not know why you're making these choices, you won't follow them as efficiently. You'll half follow them. You'll do them, okay, whatever. I'll just make sure I have measurements. I'll use the symmetry lines. But if you know the symmetry, what symmetry is pointing to, it's pointing to the beautiful symmetry that comes with all biology. Nature likes to be symmetrical. It really does. Especially with forms and beings like this. Look at all the animals, look at all the humans, look at every single creature out there. There's a serious degree of symmetry involved. And that symmetry is found on many biological levels, many, let's say, anatomical levels of the being that you're drawing. Let's say you're drawing a human. The skin is symmetrical. The formation of the skin and features on the skin. It may not be perfectly symmetrical because there's certain randomness to nature, but it is symmetrical in principle nonetheless. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nose, nostrils, and 2 boobs. Yes, TOB. Shut up! So what I'm trying to say is believe that there will be symmetry also at the skeletal level. The skeletal level contains symmetry as well. And what happens is that when you guys are drawing and you're thinking only about the flesh and the muscle, what you do is you forget to think that there is a skeleton underneath. What is a skeleton? Skeleton is like everything needs a skeleton, a sort of basic foundation, a structure that is very dense that keeps everything together. If we didn't have skeletons, we would just be bags of flesh rolling around like a water balloon. We need the skeleton to keep everything attached to it, like a tree, like a trunk of a tree, or the steel framing of a building, or the underframing of a car. You need all of that there. You know, everything else is just surface. Everything else is just superficial. So if you think of it in that way, in that disciplined way, the way that is sort of aware of the general picture, aware of how different schools of thought influence the way you draw, then you will have spent more time, Nina, figuring out the true function before you drew the result. You are drawing the result of the function, which is the face. We are always drawing the result of the function of the human body. Artists are very concerned with the result. They only care about the result because the result is what talks and breathes, and it is a character, and it is what eventually becomes the leader of a story. But what you need to do at this point, because you are a creator, you create at this point, you have to educate yourself in a very, very disciplined way. And one of the best ways that I recommend, so that your drawings also benefit from them, is doing skeletal studies, studies of the face, skeleton of the face. It's very important to do that because you will tackle all of the issues that come when you have a very low awareness of what the skeleton does to the face. So I sort of built the face right now with liquefy, considering the skeleton. And all this explanation just for one tiny little change. And it's necessary, and not a lot of people take the time to sort of tell you these explanations, and I really want you guys to take advantage of this. What you had before lacked in skeletal structure. Do you see what happened before? The features were pretty much melted together, and it was like a big portion of the female's face skeleton was gone, and the face sort of hung off the top part. It seemed that there was only skeleton in the top um, portion. No, I wasn't drawing. Yeah. So now I'm drawing. Now you should be able to see the before and afters at this point, Ferris. So do you see what I'm talking about, Nina? Understanding the skeletal structure makes you think about the jawline, makes you think about the skeletal structure. Oh, I see. I'm not playing fetch. Babe, can you get her? Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, so let me show you the skeleton. What I'm trying to say here. Silly cat. I have a cat dog. So do you see this skeleton right here? It has it's square shape. There's a shape there. There's a reason why artists are always being told to think in shapes, because it helps you go back to the signifiers that come with skeleton and other stuff. And what I'm trying to say here is that when you don't think about the skeleton, you don't remember edges like this, simple tiny little edges like this. You don't remember the symmetry. This is a perfectly symmetrical skull. Not perfectly, like, you know what I mean. You have the two cheekbones here that are perfectly symmetrical. You have the two sides here. The teeth are symmetrical. The nose is symmetrical. Everything is not just symmetric. It's not just symmetry anymore. It's density. It's form. It's the kind of form that kind of matter, the kind of material that it is. It's not malleable. If you hit it, it will shatter like an egg. It's not bendable like plastic or whatever. When you remember all of these units here, you will realize that the skeleton is a very important part of the human head, as you might notice already, just by being a human. So what I'm trying to say here, Nina, is please, next time, if you want to go to the next level, do some studies before your next day, your next 14-day challenge submission. Do some studies on the skeletal structure, please, because it will remind you to incorporate the principles of underlining skeletal structure in the next face that you draw. Okay? Do I have an okay on all of this? You will? Okay. So let me show you again what your before looked like. Do you see the two jaw lines, the two edges of the jaw as you would see them here? No. Do you see an even cheekbone? Do you see symmetry in the sockets of the eyes? There is no symmetry in this. There is a general symmetry, but not a functional symmetry. And I recommend watching the How to Paint Eyes video. It's just there on the tabs in this website right now, just over there. If you click on it, though, you will leave the what's it called? So just use the right click, open a new tab type deal. But don't play them at the same time, then you'll be in like this weird double Istebrak world. But yes, there's a video on how to paint eyes. I talk about the function, why the eyeball needs to be a circle, why there needs to be a hole in the skeleton for the eyeball, why the eyeball has lids on it, and why those lids have hairs on it. And if you remember the function, the reason why you have to cross the road carefully, you will start to implement these rules in your work. You have to. If you've already watched the video, watch it again and again. I'm not trying to get more views here, I swear to God. Download it and watch it again at home without having to go to the website. I don't care. Just make sure that you're understanding the function, and don't just leave it to me. Go to another artist, see how they explain it, and another, getting different ideas and different methods and different opinions and approaches on explaining the eye. And it's got a big part to do with the skeleton. A big part to do with the skeleton. Would she, in the previous one, in the before, would she have a skeleton that looks like this underneath? Would her skeleton have looked like this? Her skeleton would have looked very, very different. Yes, Nina, you have all been ruined by drawing anime. Anime has, it's just a kawaii skeleton. Anime is a very, you have to be aware of when you're drawing anime. You cannot be unaware. That's all I can really say. I can go on about anime, but I like anime. I like to draw anime. I really do. It's one of the tiny little things that I enjoy about art. But if you want to draw realistically, act like you're a reborn person. Act like you were just born. Never act like you have zero art skills at this point, because you might as well have zero art skills if anime is going to be the stepping stone to realism for you, because you will make mistakes that you will not know you were making unless someone points them out. It'll be very difficult to shake off your muscle memory, anime muscle memory, which is big eyes, tiny mouth, and really, really pointed chin. Absolutely no jawline, because anime, as you know, people don't eat an anime. It just turns into smoke in their mouth. Okay? And no nose. Alright then, so that's all that I really want. I want everyone to benefit from this. This is why I went on and on about the skeletal structure. Now I'll just rush through basic shadow and form. Okay, so as you know, there are 6 dark spots and a couple light spots depending on what kind of face you're drawing. And what I want you to do is apply these light spots to your drawing. And when I say light spots, I don't mean a big blotch of light. I mean a gradual progression, a graduation towards the lightest area, the hot spot of the face. And it really depends on where the light source is coming from. And if you don't already know this, I think it is the rules for the 14-day challenge are here in the website right now. If you don't already know this, you need to have a consistent light source throughout your day, throughout the days that you do in the 14-day challenge, and the light source has to come from above, just like this. By the way, don't paint in grayscale, just go to RGB, because grayscale acts differently in grayscale on Photoshop than RGB does. You have less grays, I believe. Okay. Now I talked before about this, the triangle. If you want to be able to paint something cute, there's a triangle that you have to flip upside down. The lips have to be the tip of that triangle, and they have to be relatively small compared to everything else in the face. The face, and compared to the eyes at least. The eyes have to be relatively large, of course. If you look at babies, baby foxes, baby wolves, baby cats, baby koalas, baby humans. They're far less cute than baby animals, but anyways. You will notice that there is a triangle, that triangle that we talk about. You also find some kawaii girls or whatever you guys call them, cute girls, let's say, models, stuff people that people consider beautiful. You will also see the triangle there as well, which is sort of like the golden ratio. And relatively, it just can be explained by an upside down triangle. If you want to draw something ugly, like the orcs that I have recently been drawing, because I have been so sick of drawing beautiful people, then please flip that triangle upside down, where the eyes are the smallest, the nose is the second largest, and the lips are far wider than the eyes are. And at that point, you start to get the ugly look. I'm not saying that people who have relatively small eyes are ugly. Everyone is beautiful. I'm just saying, cartoon-wise, art is very vain. It is extremely vain, extremely cruel and vain, just like fashion. Fashion is a form of art, sort of exhibition of color and form and shit like that. So it's a vain thing, and if that doesn't agree with you, it's okay. It's only because you're human. It doesn't agree with you. But the triangle rule, if you want to make something look beautiful, you just have to be aware that it is the triangle, this triangle of cuteness that is causing that beauty to emerge. Okay, and at this point I'm just trying to, the reason why I use a soft brush. Soft brush is really, really important in creating realistic skin. The skin is like a transparent film that rushes over everything. And what you have to do is make sure that you are using a brush that creates that transparency. That transparency, what it does is it unifies. It's like putting 3 shapes underwater beside each other. When you put them underwater, their edges are blurry. And that's what happens with skin. The features blend together. When you guys draw, you tend to make really, really hard-edged features. Lips that are extremely overlined. You tend to make the nose a bit like, looks like you cut it out from another magazine or another image and put it on. You guys need to start thinking about the function of the skin. Again, function, back to function. Really, really important aspect of drawing faces, drawing anything actually. It's the scientific background. The science plays a bigger role than you would like in art, and the more you expose yourself to science and the way science has explained things and revealed to us, enlightened us on the condition of things, biological, physical, whatever, the better you'll draw them. Okay, so I'm just setting up nice sculpting going on. Again, don't outline. Shake off those anime days, those obsessions with that you used to have with lines and line art. Oh, biggest waste of time, in my opinion anyway. Because you are no longer lining here. There are no edges to line. There are edges, but they are not created through lines. They're created through hard edge and soft edge and sculpting. You need to understand that lines are no longer necessary for the 14-day challenge. And many things will be revealed to you in the 14-day challenge. Loads of information. Sometimes it's too much for people and they just give up, and I really admire those that continue with it and stick to it, because it is the biggest wake-up call for art, doing something for that many days and something repetitive. And you have to start appreciating people's input and shaking off your pride and making sure that you don't take the critiques personally. You have to start thinking about things in a more scientific way. And it really just the biggest wake-up call. It is difficult to finish it. And props to everyone who has taken on the 14-day challenge and completed it. No less. Don't depend, Nina, on the eyeliner. The makeup, don't let the makeup paint your image for you. There should be a face before there was makeup. Don't, because you don't know how to paint the upper eyelid, don't just throw some eyeshadow in there to hide the upper eyelid. It's not very good to do that. Let me push her lips back up. What happens when you get older is that your lips separate further away from your face. They sort of hang off because they're just technically like face boobs. They're just big bags of flesh, and even though they're not bags of milk or liquid, they still are pretty squishy, and they start to sag, and they get really far away from your lips. So let me show you. I know, really freaky metaphor, but let me show you how much older she looks when I pull the lips away from her nose as if they've sagged. Do you see how much older she looks, everyone? Because the lips are far away. But when you're young and plush and you were just born and you have youth in you, your lips are relatively pretty close to your face, to your nose. Yes, face boobs. If you look at babies, their lips are just like attached to their nose. That's really cute. Little, again, whole triangle thing. Close by and pretty not so wide that again it looks like what a person said, it looks like someone ate something sour and they're sort of pursing their lips, but enough that that it still maintains the beauty aspect. Also, make sure the eyebrows don't have much expression for the 14-day challenge. You're not here to practice expressions. It's not an expression sheet. It is not an expression meme. And I don't want many expressions. If you want to have a gentle smile, okay, fine. But as for eyebrows, major movements of the muscles, I don't want you to do that. Why? Because I just want you to focus on just the basic face principles and then move on to more complex combinations. Okay, so let's reestablish. What I've done here is I've sculpted away some of the things that I feel like aren't necessary and introduced some things that I feel are necessary for the beauty. Basic light and dark spot stuff here. I've also erased out the eyes because I want to show you, Nina, a better way to approach the eyes. Some of you here used to draw eyes like this when you were kids, drawing your mom and giving it to her as a gift at the end of the day from school. So this is like this, like this, like this, or like this. This all is wrong because it doesn't consider function. And what it confuses you, and this is a very key word, and I recommend you guys write this down, it's a symbolic representation of the eye, not an actual functional representation of the eye. This means that you are not thinking about the eye and the way it functions and the way it is actually formed. And it's not, you don't draw eyes. Give me a second here. I need to increase my stats. I don't know why they went back down. That's weird. So yes, don't approach eyes by drawing two slits and then drawing the stuff inside. No, no. Draw the general shade, the general value of the eye. So Anna, general. Don't draw symbolic eyes anymore, okay? Draw the shade of the eye. And then get the simple shade of the area inside. So look at this. 2 strokes, you guys. 2 fucking strokes. Sorry, 2 strokes. And we already have function considered. The more you work, the more you become an artist, the more you go on with your art world, the more that the less strokes you'll use, the more you'll try to cover big aspects of the whole principle of what you're drawing with as least strokes as possible. We've with this simple dot of black, of dark here, what we have established is, and I don't want to give you an eye lesson, but I sort of have to a little bit, is we've established the spherical shape of the eye, which leads straight back to function, meaning the eye has to be spherical to function properly. If our eyes were squares, then our eyes wouldn't be able to move properly because there would be edges and sides that wouldn't be able to rotate the way an eye would, the way a ball would. Basic ball that we play, soccer ball, it wouldn't roll. It wouldn't roll in our eye sockets, allowing us to see in different angles. Okay, we've established that. And with the second stroke, we've established eyelids. And we've established the space underneath. And we haven't used the massive ass white like this and just brought it in there and did this and lined it perfectly and rendered and then brought in, oh god, that's so bright, and then brought in like, and then tried to also render that and outline this and do that and do this. This looks wrong. It looks freaky too because you guys aren't thinking about the gradual movement towards the highest level that you will possibly go in value-wise in the image. You are jumping straight into white thinking, oh, well, eyes are white. Again, back to the symbolic. What are the colors of the eyes? A good artist would say it's a very dim light gray. A newbie artist, I don't like using that word, would say it's white. No, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Because when you draw, you're going to end up drawing the white and it's going to look wrong. It's going to look freaky. It's going to look like the eyes are light sources. Only light sources can get this light. And this is no man's land. Stay away from here. This is evil. This is not going to give you form. This is going to wash out all of your form. You need to stay in these beautiful delicate values here, maybe hitting the darks just a bit, but nowhere near here either. If they're glowing and you're drawing a character that has glowing eyes, obviously you have to up the scale on the values. You have to, or else it will just look like the person is just blind. If you're drawing someone who is blind, you keep the same standard light, sort of washed out gray without having any iris. So do you guys understand what I'm saying? It is not a white. It will never be a white. Okay? It is a nice washed out gray tone. If translated into color, would be a very, very gray yellow. All right? If you are looking at references that are edited with Photoshop, they have edited the crap out of those photos and they do not look real. And it also depends on the lighting and exposure. Yes, exactly, hobbyist. It depends on the exposure. It depends on where you are outside or inside. Generally, again, for this light source, I just want you to entertain a very moderate light color for the eyeballs. Okay? Please don't throw in a white. So yes, these 2 balls here. And then what I do is I just get another darker tone. And then I just start to, like I said, the outer angles here are dark, the outer corners of the eye. The inner corners tend to be a little bit light because they catch the light and they're reflective. They're also moist. They're very wet all the time, just like an engine needs to be oiled. The eyes need to be moist so that they can function. If they're dry eyes, then they will not function very well and you'll have watery eyes. Okay, so basic stuff. I'm getting a dark spot for the eyeballs right here. Doing a little bit more lining with the hair, establishing the darkest point in the eyes. Again, the darkest places should be the dark spots, and no other area should be as dark as those areas. No shadow, no contour, no nothing, because it will throw off your values like nothing else, ever. Okay, and then we have that. And this is pretty good for a couple strokes. This works. This works just fine. You can render, you can go on, add lashes, accessories, render for a couple more, but don't lose these essential strokes you have here. Yes, professional photographers edit, like I said, edit the crap out of their stuff. They want the best possible filters, highest contrast. They can get the most exposure for the colors, and you don't want to imitate them because you're drawing real stuff. You're drawing as if we're seeing. You're not drawing with a camera. You're drawing with your eyes. What you remember, the characters you draw cannot have these massive white eyeballs. Or else it just doesn't make sense. Because that's not what we see. And you want to draw what we see. Okay? So you guys see what I'm saying here with this eyeball here? So the same thing. We have the basic gray tone already. And then I'm just going to get another dark tone. And a dark tone and that dark tone. Excuse me. And you already tried to do this. You tried to make the eyes a little bit more crossed, because when eyes are crossed, their focus means they're looking at something. If you want to make them look spaced out, then just separate the distance between the eyes a bit more. Okay, some eyes, highlight here, and we have eyeballs that function, ladies and gentlemen. And then there's, I don't want to throw too much at you. Maybe I'll leave it at this for today. But I really want you to start thinking about function a little bit more. There are other things that I could talk about. For instance, I could talk about reflective surfaces versus surfaces that are just having contours, light contours. I can talk about other stuff here, but I'll leave those for your next days. Hopefully I'll be available to do a bit more critiquing in the coming weeks. But I just want to leave it at that for now. I'm going to jump into Liquify one more time just to reestablish the skeletal structure. Because after you get the features, you also have to go back to the skeleton and make sure the skeleton reinforces these features, depending on the contours that you stroked. Make sure you establish the symmetry. Symmetry is the key to having beauty. If you have one side that is an upside down triangle, then you will just simply have one side that is cute. The other side, if it's the right side up triangle, you will have one side that is ugly, and then you'll have the elephant man. Again, very, very vain practice. I'm very sorry if it doesn't sit well with you that we are talking so vainly about human faces and about beauty like this, but this is it. This is what you guys are in right now. This is the beauty aspect. The face turned out to be however it turned out. I mean, it looks like a character in itself. But if you want to make your 14-day challenge face look something different, just remember the skeletal structure. This is simply how I changed it. So before, big change, but it's essentially worked to reveal to you the simple principles that we want to implement in our work. So the eyes, this was sort of it was sort of entering upside down triangle, or right side up triangle, meaning the lower mouth was almost as wide as the upper lips. I mean, the lips were almost as wide as the mouth. And then after we sort of brought the beauty back. And this will change your style just a little bit, but that's fine. I just want you to focus on the way the art is formed. Before and just after the thing didn't save, but just after the liquify, we already had something towards beauty, something towards a beautiful face. And this face, to be quite honest with you, to be completely honest, will not get you hired. This face will not get you hired. It will not provide you with a very powerful portfolio, and you want that. You want a powerful portfolio because it is going to be necessary for living as an artist and paying the bills as an artist. And you want to be able to draw a beautiful face when you need to and when you're commissioned to. And after. It is a soft brush. I do apologize for the soft look in these critiques. I just want you guys to be able, I just want to be able to get to everyone. I just want to point one thing out. the light spots don't have to be used to represent the beauty. Not everything has to have high cheekbones, but they are necessary in the small degree. They are necessary because these areas are high points in the nose. You don't have to draw light eyes. You can draw brown eyes or green eyes or whatever you want to draw. You don't have to draw brown eyes. I mean light eyes. The reason why I do is because I want to know that you know how to draw a pupil. You don't have to draw lips like the way I draw them, but I just want to know that you guys are using the dark spots here in the nostrils and the lights. You don't even have to draw a beautiful person for the 14-day challenge, but for those who have finished the 14-day challenge, they will tell you that they draw beautiful people easier now than they did before. And everyone wants to be able to draw a beautiful person. That's the sort of point of the 14-day challenge in any art that you pursue. And you draw beautiful people to a point where you just get sick of them, like I have, and you want to draw other characters, and you know how to draw the other characters because you just don't do all the tendencies you used to do. And the reason why I can draw an ugly orc is because I used to draw a beautiful face every fucking day of my life for the past 10 years. Since I started drawing, I used to just wish I could draw the most beautiful face. And after a while, you realize it's not about the beautiful face. But for now, I wanted you to know how to draw a beautiful face, because in your way to draw a beautiful face, you will learn how to draw everything else. Okay? So I will save this and send it back to you. Next up is Alfonso. Alfonso, this whole image is a bit too dark for me. I have to make it a little bit lighter. Way too dark, my friend. Okay. Let us also jump. You have a good skeletal hold over the skeletal structure, but symmetry is your issue here. There is both horizontal and vertical symmetry. Let me show you the difference. Horizontal symmetry is this right here. I mean, wait, this. At this point right now it's turned into vertical because we're looking at it like that. So let's find the half point of the face and go back. Right now, since we turned it, do you notice that there is an overgrowth here? Really pushing past the limit of the head. Very, very alien-like. And when you were using a reference, Alfonso, you probably confused the hairline with the skeleton. The skeleton is not as high as the hair because it is beneath the hair. The hair goes a bit higher depending on the volume of the hair. If you are drawing hair on this girl later on, and you want to, just approach the hair, you will throw the hair automatically just by nature, throwing it above the skeletal structure. If the skeleton's already this high and you're throwing the hair, imagine how high the hair will be. Let's test it out. Let's just say you're throwing some random hair here. I really don't know why I'm doing this kind of hair, but we'll see. Okay, do you see how high her head is? And you even have to go a little bit further and add in. I know it looks really, really crappy, but I just want you to see how far away the top of the head is from the eyes. This is not how I draw hair, you guys. This is for the sake of the class. The forehead should be somewhere here. All of this here. The end of the skeleton head should be somewhere around here, typically speaking, for the size of an average human being's head. And this should all be translated as volume. Her hair is very voluminous, very, very high, almost 60s like. But let's take off this level. Do you see how high? How much higher the hair that you drew is? The hair that you drew is the skeleton head that you drew is somewhere up there. And it is way too high considering the skeleton, proportion-wise. So back to horizontal and vertical symmetry. When you think about, you have vertical symmetry very, very well done. If you flip the image, it's just the eyes that are flipping back and forth. But if you do it, rotate it and flip it this way and look at the either side, how the weight is distributed across the skull, it is way too heavy on this side as it is on this side. Much less symmetry. Do you see what I'm doing, Alfonso? I just need a response from Alfonso before I can go on. So what I need you to do from now on is think about horizontal and vertical symmetry together. And thinking about, it's okay, thinking about how the face needs to be represented in both aspects of symmetry. Sorry, just a water break. Okay, so the next part will be obviously to respond to us knowing that the head is a bit too high and we have to bring that down a little bit. Okay, as soon as we bring it down, things just start to make sense again. And you don't have to be an artist to notice these slight little proportion errors, because it just takes a little bit of vision and experience, just a tiny bit of awareness of how these forms work, to recognize them when they're broken. And even a child who doesn't have much knowledge about function and how things function, I'm not saying that, you know what I mean. They would notice when someone looks a bit off. They will notice, well, what's happened with their face, or what's wrong with their face, or why is their head so big? Because they will notice right away that there is a slight error in the proportion that they're used to seeing. Okay. Also, the eyebrows were not following the brow bone. Her brow bone looked like it was changing the way the hair was growing on her face. And where you placed the light before made it seem like it wasn't in the it was like it was drawn over the skeleton. It wasn't really part of the skeleton. I don't want you to draw that kind of face. Okay, I sort of pulled down the smile. If you want me, I'll just reestablish the smile. Just trying to make sure that you don't draw the lips as if they're folded on each other like that. So, when it comes to eyebrows, some of you also draw symbolically. And when I say place some light under the brow bone right here, or when women put on makeup, or men, they like to put light colors under the eyebrows to make it seem like the brow bone is a bit higher and more pronounced, meaning the skeletal structure is more, like beautiful or whatever, more pronounced skeletal structure. Because the skeleton does play a big role in beauty. What you've done here is that you had the line of the eyebrow going up, and then you had the light all the way back here. You were thinking symbolic. You just put that there on a whim. You put that there as a guess. You didn't put that there as function, because if you understood the function, Alfonso, you would have placed the light somewhere here. Because people can erase their eyebrows and then draw them back in like this, but the key is placing the skeletal structure. The skeleton hasn't been erased and drawn back in. The skeleton is still functioning the way it usually does, and the light spot is still working because the skeleton is still pushing the skin, it's still pushing the flesh, it's still functioning, meaning the high point has remained the high point, and it's only the eyebrows that have been drawn away. But what you did is you placed the light all the way back here, thinking that the light and the eyebrow come together. No! The bone comes before the eyebrow all the time. Okay? Mommy, why is that man so ugly? Yeah, it takes too long. You can reply to me on Skype, Alfonso, just so that I know you're present with us. So do you see what I'm saying, Alfonso? Do not draw the symbolic eyebrow, just like you shouldn't draw the symbolic eye. Right here, I push the eyebrows back down because I want you to know that even though you might draw the eyebrows the way you did before, the skeletal structure, the skeleton still remains the same. And the high point still stays the high point because that's just how the bone is. The hair has nothing to do with it. The hair just responds. The bone is the boss of the face, okay? The skeleton, the skull, is the boss of the face. It governs how the face works. The skeleton comes before the face does, okay? So do you see now how her face makes a bit more sense? Erase the high point you have all the way out here. It's not going to function like an eyebrow bone would. And by the way, everyone, please, all 32 of you people here ready to draw better, don't confuse the eyebrow with the eyebrow bone. The bone comes first. It sticks out. There's an actual bone there ready that is surrounding the skeleton surrounding the eye socket that is ready to protect the eye. on top of it for shade and also for function and also to help ward off unwanted projectiles towards the eye. The eyebrows also grow hairs there, like whiskers telling us what's ahead of us, similar to the eyes. The eyelashes. The eyelashes are whiskers for humans, telling them that something is approaching. Please close your eyeball right away. Please close your eye or close your eyes. That's what eyebrows do. That's shade from the sun and as typical whiskers. Okay? But what comes first? It's about thinking about what comes first. Which governs what? The skeleton comes first. The eyebrow bone comes first. The eyebrow hair follows in suit. Okay? Meaning the high point here, the reason why I'm placing light up here is because of the brow bone. It's not because of the eyebrows. The eyebrows don't come attached with a little floating piece of light beneath them. But that's how you drew it, Alphonse, and I don't want you to draw that like that again. Also, the eyebrow bone bends with the head. The temples here and here are part of the third and fourth quarters, are part of the outer quarters of the face. The face is divided into 4 quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the outer areas here, this is where the eyebrows end. They don't enter the third quarter. And you need more. Sorry, my neighbors are singing. I don't know if you guys heard that. Okay. Let's need a bit more shadow here. I really recommend staring at a skull, having a skull right there on your desk with you. Another thing is the shadow, it's not a unibrow. Some of you might overdo it and make it a unibrow, but what I want you to do is think about it like this. The eye, if the light was this light in between the eyebrow, it wasn't this light as you made it, Alfonso, but I'm just trying to illustrate. If it was this light, if we were to see this girl's face from the side, it would be forehead, and you know how usually we have a dip and then we have the nose, because this is the eye socket dip. This girl had no dip. It just went straight. Because the light is consistent, same light all the way to the forehead, meaning same surface area, same light being reflected back. Does everybody understand this? This is really important stuff here. Okay? I need you guys to create this little bend here because it means you're understanding surface area reflection. Alright? So I need to see that shadow in between both eyes because it represents that the nose doesn't start at the forehead. Okay? I think a skull on my desk could scare my kids. Oh, that's cute. Also, another big issue in your drawing, Alfonso, is the nose. The nose looks like it's been drawn on. There is no nose there. It's like Krillin from Dragon Ball. There is no nose there. The reason why it looks like this is because the light, the highest point. Let's look at the color wheel here. I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. I really lose it very quickly. Let's look at the color wheel. Look at how high the cheekbones are. Not the color wheel, color picker. And look at how low the eyebrows are. Did you see that gradual? Did you see that just jump? Not good. No, it should be the other way around, Alfonso. I don't think did I do that? No, I don't think I did. It should be the other way around. Okay? So let's get this light tone that we want on the nose. And where does the nose start? The nose starts beneath the eyes or somewhere in between the eyes. And there should be a high point right here. Okay? Okay? Do you see what I'm doing? I need an okay. I need you to talk to me, Alfonso. Alright, another big issue is the kind of another symbolic thing that you guys do is you think somewhere down the line, I don't know where you guys picked it up, but you guys might think that the nose needs to be outlined by shadows because you guys just don't, it's hard to imagine how the nose just randomly pops up. Right? It's hard to envision that as a 3D model in your head, as a diagram, rotating diagram in your head. If you think about it, the nose just pops up out of nowhere. It just doesn't make any sense. Every other portion of the face is flat, but this nose just protrudes out into the universe saying, "Hello, smells, come find me. I will register you to the brain." I need you guys to think about it like this. You don't need to outline anymore. It's okay. It's okay. My hand is on your shoulders. It's okay. You don't have to outline anymore. What does this mean? This means that you don't have to sneak outline either. It means that you can believe that the nose can function and look like a functioning nose with just a couple of tiny little strokes placed in strategic areas. The first and most important thing about creating something that looks like it's popping out is a cast shadow. Everything casts a shadow. The further the object is protruding, the more the shadow will be cast. So what we have here is we had a nose that looked flat in many, many different areas of the face. It looked flat up here. It looked flat in these two shadows you had on either side that you didn't need. And it looked flat with the nostrils. So the biggest thing that I need to tell you right now that you need to do, Alfonso, is practice noses. Watch the How to Paint Noses video. Understand what is being taught. Look at another tutorial and another and another. Look at nose studies, study noses. At that point, you will start to recognize that you don't need to outline and you don't need to be afraid of the nose. The nose wasn't even the highest value in the face. The nose brought you down like 10 points, like 100 points. Out of, like, let's say 200, it brought you down like 50%. Okay? The nose was really, really suffering. All you need for a nose is Bob, Steve, their cheating wife. I don't know why I called it that, but let's say her name is... you can't shake it off. Once you do it, it's stuck forever. All you need is Bob and Steve, okay? And the high point of the nose. The two brackets and the two slits right there for the nostrils. That's it. That's all you need. The form will do it for you. Everything else will just be done. Make sure that the bottom area here is shadowed. Just follow the video. The video will explain everything. Make sure that the nostrils are one of the dark spots. They are those famous dark spots. Okay? Make sure it's nice and functional and it looks like it can smell, as a nose should. Okay? Can't find the page? Yeah, maybe Bob and Steve are in love. Maybe they just have a beautiful relationship. And the tip of the nose is just oh no, don't carry the story any further. Okay. And a little bit of light here for the reflective area of the nose. A little bit less light there. Just for the shadow, for the core shadow. Just a tiny bit of shading on either side of the nose. Not that much. You don't need that much. And the highest point should be the highest point. The most light point should be the peak, the tip of the mountain, which is the tip of the nose. Cheekbones also, they need a hot spot. They're not as light as the nose because they don't stick out as far as it does, so why should they be as light? Okay. And then the inner corners of the eye. Remember, there are things that are reflective, that are watery, that are wet. And then there are things that are just light by contour, by light exposure. The inner corners of the eyes are very, very oily. Just put your hands on your inner corners right now. Do you see how oily they are? It's actually oily. So go wash your faces now. Use some moisturizer, yo. Get some pimples. If you don't. Okay. The upper eyelids need to be just a little bit lighter. Don't depend on makeup to paint the eyes for you. And in every eye, there is the shadow of the upper eyelid. You need that shadow there. The tear ducts and the waterline. Not tear ducts, man. I can't even see those. The waterline here. And the inner corner need to be a bit light. Let me zoom out. And because the eye is a ball, and because you have lids on both the upper and lower eyelid, the lower eyelid also needs shadow. Okay? And the lashes also throw shadow on the eye. Now to the lips. The lips need a dark corner. which you sort of had. But what you did is, lips are a big hole in the face. If they open as wide as possible, you wouldn't see the upper half like this, and then you would see the other lip. This is how you drew it. You made it seem like there's an actual piece of flesh in there, that when it closes like, which is what you did. Lips have no seam, they're seamless. They have the one corner where they bend, which is the dark spot, which is why it is a dark spot, because it is two major folds in flesh which cast out light that need to be dark. Once we do that, we see that the lips are a bit too big. Okay, and then we have the bottom lip protruding and the top lip protruding. The top lip is always a bit darker because light doesn't reach it as well. And then we have the bottom lip lighter. And we have the shadows of these lips cast on the chin, and the chin being the high point. Okay, the neck is a bit, don't try to shade something you haven't studied. It'll be very, very obvious that you haven't done enough time studying that thing that you're trying to draw. And you haven't done enough studies on the neck. And what you did was you tried to make up for that by making random muscle spasms in the neck that looked very, very muscular and very, very masculine compared to her face and how her fat is distributed on her face. Don't shade the body too much. Don't worry about the body. It's really just about the head for now. Take the body on another separate occasion. Okay, cheekbones need to be a little less fatty, I guess. A little bit more bone structure protruding from that, for the sake of beauty and for the sake of me knowing that you can draw the skeleton and reveal the skeleton in that way. Okay. Shadows on the eye socket from the eyebrows cast down. And you see now how there's a lot more function for the nose, for the lips. And there's also always a tiny sliver of a high point in the nose. The highest tip of the nose is always very, very steep and very shaped very narrow. It's not so flat. Depending on the kind of face you draw. If you're drawing a Russian person, usually the noses are very, very straight and very flat on the top. If you're drawing a Caucasian person, the noses tend to be somewhere in the middle. If you're drawing an Asian person, the noses tend to be very, very flat surface on the top. I know, again, it's a very vain art practice that we're doing, where we sort of have to find shortcuts around every kind of face that we can draw. We find little signifiers in different races and different kinds of peoples, and the different kinds of faces that emerge. And it's not really about labeling them as Ukrainian or Russian or whatever. It's just about being able to remember, figuring out how to name them. Okay, so we have the two dark spots, corners here. We have the two nostrils, and we have the two dark spots of the eyes, as is needed. The lips are just a touch too wide, breaking the beauty line, or the golden ratio. If you shrink them, do you see how much cuter she looks? Before, after. Do you see that? Did everyone see that? Slightest little break of the triangle and you don't have cute anymore. But as long as you stick in the triangle, you have cute. Okay? Let me show you the before and after now. Let me just flatten this. Excuse me. Before, too dark. Way too dark, my friend. I lightened it up. I'm just trying to, at this point I was trying to show you the width of the head. But before, after. Okay? You don't have to have the lips the same size. You can make them bigger, but at least all of the things that you did today. Way too dark. Eyebrows did not follow a skeletal structure. The head was way too high. And after that, we sort of started following the rules a little bit. The neck is a bit too narrow, but I don't want to worry about the neck just yet. I don't want to throw too much at you. Okay? You can draw a face, Alfonso. But tiny little signifiers here and there for beauty and cuteness need to be followed in order to draw a beautiful face. Okay, and now, let me just show you guys Little Miss Anna, what Little Miss Anna's been up to. I'll do day 3 by UB after. Anna, I cannot begin to explain how far you've come in your 14-day challenge. If you guys want to look at the 14-day challenge showcases just in the tab area right there, you'll see Anna's before. And you'll see how hard she's been working. And she deserves all the praise and all of the compliments that you guys could be paying her right now, right this second. So go and do it. But let us jump into the critique. The shadows here are a bit thrown off, and Anna doesn't use references. Anna tries to use photographic memory. The technique where you stare at people's faces so long that you build special little photograph in your head for them. Anna, don't worry about the shoulders, okay? Just focus on the face for the 14-day challenge. And what Anna has been doing is she's been looking at Asian and African faces and seeing if she can find a combination of both. And what she's done is amazing so far. Amazing isn't even a word for it. Because she's managed to create such a convincing personality through the drawing. Tiny little issues, tiny little issues such as the sudden change in value in the face. If we were to see this girl's face, what she would have, it looks like she had a beard that she shaved off. That's sort of the what this value change is doing. And if we lighten it up just a touch, just this area here, and bring back the shadows of the is this on transfer? Okay, just over here, if we bring back the shadow of the corner, lip corner, we'll see that, and we do it before and after, you'll see what I mean when I said the shadow on the lower half of the face was a bit too dark, the sudden change in value. The upper lip needs to be just a bit darker to continue the form, to keep the form moving, and the lips themselves are a bit too outlined. You need to have a bit more of a curved inward gradient going on, a blurredness. And Anna's before this, her day 7, is also amazing. And what she's been doing for day 8, which is really, really good, is jumping into pores, detailing the face, throwing details on. And yeah, so she's right now, if I zoom in a little bit, I lost some of the detail in here. I'll try to find it again with the sharpen tool. But you can see the pores that she did, which are amazing. Pores are the little dots on the skin that need to be there to allow the skin to breathe, to expel all kinds of oils and waters and stuff like that. So what I'm doing at this stage is I'm thinking about the basic principles, Anna. I'm going back to the sculpting to help me redefine the skeletal structure and redefine the light spots and dark spots, the high points of the flesh and the low points here. Okay, simple stuff here, we're going back to it. Also sculpting the chin and the lower jawline and how it's a bit separated. We're getting that darkened. You started, the face does darken towards the edges, but you darkened it just a bit too early. And what you need to do is go down on the darkened tone and just start darkening somewhere near beneath the lips, because that's where the face curves down into the neck. and down into the chin area. But remember, things that face up still get the surface area exposure to the light. Things that face up still get it. And now let me just show you the before and after. We'll see a couple of issues here, symmetry-wise, but we'll touch on them a second. Maybe I'll just touch on them now. Okay. Symmetry also is suffering just a bit, but just a bit. Again, all it takes is a little bit, and we already noticed it. Before, a bit too dark on the lower half. Do you see what happened? It seems like she had an after shadow, or the light was only on her eyes, but for some reason nowhere else. But it wasn't even a sharp light. Sure, I'll show you a bit more with the neck if you would like. And I lighten that up just a bit so that we can see a bit more of the face. Remember, adding more shadow doesn't mean you have more form. It means you have less form because we're washing it out. You're washing everything. Sarah's here. Hey, Sarah. It's been a while. I feel like this lady is actually looking at me, and I almost want to have a convo with her, find out about her. When Art does that, you've achieved something. That is very, very true. She has a true personality. I really can't begin to talk about Anna's achievements. She's going to be great, you guys. Get her autograph while you still can. Okay, and so what I'm going to do now is place the darks only where I really need it. So beneath the chin, right here, and right here. Before I jump into the neck, however, let me just talk on the neck a little bit. You need to extend the shadow just a touch to show that the chin isn't tucked into the neck. You can tell that I'm tucking my neck, tucking my chin into my neck like that, because the shadow is decreased at that point, and that shadow is filled up with flesh, and it no longer is a shadow. But when there is a long separation between your chin and your neckline, there's a shadow there, because again, any object standing in front of the light will cast a shadow. So this shadow needs to stretch out this way. The neck also has a low point here where the larynx is, I believe. And what you need to do is represent that dip in the neck's anatomical structure. The two muscles that you have on the neck, right here and here, these two muscles they're not that pronounced, Anna. They're not that big. They're actually very, very unpronounced, especially in women who don't work out and take testosterone and steroids. If you do take testosterone and steroids, then at that moment you'll have all of those signifying male testosterone made structures, such as really, really bulky neck and high cheekbones, or cheekbone structure and eyebrow structure. You'll start to look more like a man than a woman. So what you need is a bit softer edges. Ease up on the values. Not that much of a valley, not that much of a mountain. Very, very, very. I don't know how to make a nice little jokey about it, but very soft, very soft. It's okay, it's okay. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, very, very soft. When you get to the boobs and you get to the arms, then you can start throwing in some nice dark shadows, but before that, ease up on the shadows. Now let's think about, it's amazing how you made the face actually look like it's wet. Let me just zoom in so you guys can see. Do you guys see that? Let me sharpen up the areas I painted over here so that you can get the pores back. I am so proud of you. Okay. Let me just sharpen that up. Alright. And we zoom in. We see the pores and everything that these pores are representing, from reflectiveness to form to the function of the skin and onward. And here, wait. Some of you are like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be that good. Yes, you can. Okay? Ask Anna. Anna is a hard worker. She did it because she worked hard, but it's not. But she didn't say before she started, I can't do it. She says I can. Okay? And she did it. She proved that she could, and she proved that you guys, because she proved She could and you guys could. So don't say, I can't do this. Don't say, wow, she's so good. This is you in the future. That you're looking at your work in the future. This is what you can do, and there's no doubt that you can do it. Okay? You can do it. But Anna, it's not 100%. You don't have a 100% mark. And let me show you how to get 100%. The way you drew the nose, there isn't much signification or whatever the word is. Anything signaling that the nose can function as a nose. So we need more values here representing the sculpted cavities that are the nostrils as formed through cartilage. You also need a core shadow cast by the main light beneath the nose. A core shadow is the main shadow cast by the light. Secondary light sources break that core shadow into a clash between two light sources. And so we get a nice little sliver of light in the lower area, the lower face of the nose, like this. Okay. We slowly start to sculpt and build the movement into the nose. If you were to get your finger and stick it in the nose, it would work. But on the way the nose was before, was that it didn't. There was no hole to stick your finger in into this specific nose. But now that we've reestablished it as a secondary, as one of the dark spots, there is space for the nose. There is space for the finger in the nose. The nose, the finger does have a home in the nose now. Shall I continue with more? If there were boogers there, the finger would have space to pull them out. I can go on. Believe it. It still won't ban me. No, I won't ban you. Okay. So we need a cavity there. The lonely little finger. Okay, so let me show you how the nose looked a bit before this. Do you see? It was like a doll's nose. There was no actual cavity. And after. Oh no, you were thrown out. Before I was talking about the nose and picking the nose. Maybe you should rewatch the recording. So before, after. We needed a cavity for the actual nostrils in there. The actual holes. Okay. So good, not so pronounced. The eyebrows need just a bit of a halo because eyebrows cast shadows. It needs to be just a bit of a halo around the eyebrows. Over here and here. There needs to be as much reflectiveness. Remember, Anna, the reflectiveness on the cheekbones, if you're taking it to a poor level, it means you have taken and considered the inner corner reflectiveness already. You have to, because you are working on a very, very deep, detailed level. You are working at the microscopic level here. Not microscopic. And, well, close enough that we can see every single little pore. And so at this point, you have to start showing us how the inner corners of the eyes are also reflecting a little bit of light. How this tiny little water drops are collecting in the inner corners here. Okay? And it's even if you don't want to draw a character that has this, for the sake of the lesson, entertain that kind of occurrence, water occurrence. Ugh, stupid brush from hell. Pressure. Why am I using that soft brush? Is this setting soft brush? I don't know. But yeah. Wait. Okay, so just getting the dodge tool and getting some highlights here and there. Okay, because what this means is that the function is being considered. The eyes are watery. They will have reflection on them. They are very moist so that they can work and rotate like an oiled engine. Control Z as many times as you want until you get the perfect stroke. Don't try to do another stroke that will fix that one. If it's not working, undo the stroke and do another whole new stroke. You've got an unlimited amount here. We're working digitally. This is mostly me talking to myself. Okay, we need some corners here, folds of the skin, right over here. Areas where there is an actual protrusion, an actual edge. Fuck. Sorry. Okay. The outer corner of the eye also has tear ducts on it. Alright. And this area here will reflect some light beneath the eyebrow. Okay, and we need a little bit of light slivering up the nose just to show the high point of the nose. Whoa. Okay. It's a bit too light. And we also need some of the iris distorted because of the water in the eye. That's not a perfect circle. Okay, and lastly, the skeletal structure of the eyebrow hair here. Moving in beneath the eyebrow like I showed Alfonso. And then moving on the eyebrow as well. Don't forget that it goes on the eyebrow as well, okay, Anna? Crap. Stupid. Was it off this whole time? For how long? What was the last thing I said when it went until it went off? I was talking about the eyes, the eyebrow. Just watch the recording. Just watch the recording. I was talking about the eyebrow hair. I mean the eyebrows. Fuck the eyebrow light. Changing the value of the eyebrow as well. The eyebrow hairs also get lighter. Okay. There isn't a halo of light all around the eyebrow. It's just in the areas where the eyebrow bone sticks out. And then I think all the guys in the stream have a crush on this girl. They're all like, oh my goodness, she's staring right into my soul. Let's take a tiny little moment to realize how we as creations are so amazing. Not only are we like perfect drawings, but we function too. We're like moving, living, breathing, farting drawings. Yeah, it's weird. We work so hard just to draw the face of what we are. So much practice and knowledge is needed just to be able to put a face together and draw it with all the principles considered. And if you consider us and how babies are born, and not how, not why, then you realize how amazing, what miracle. Anyways, enough of that cheese and crackers. It's shadow. Need to make the shadow a little bit more of an edge on the nose here. And this is going straight into the showcase this day. I just need you to send me the other version before. Or when you apply the changes to this version. What did I say? Or I'll just send the one that you already, upload the one you already sent me on the website up here. Okay. And that's pretty much it. The nose is a bit too long for the face. Tiny bit. I could sort of push it up just a touch. See, before, after. Do you see, Anna? Just a touch, not a lot. But you can push it back down if you like. Just to show you that the nose bridge was taking over the nose. Okay. And let's look at the before and after. Are you ready, Anna? Are you connected? What I wanted was just this before I edited it. Okay. Okay. So before, it was much too dark near the lower half. I lightened it up. I showed you a little bit about how to push up the nose. Don't worry too much about the neck. I'll talk about the neck a little bit in a second. And we sort of got the face back because it was a bit cast in shadow, and it was a bit too two-dimensional at one point. You know, it looks a bit two-dimensional because of the amount of darkness. Do you see what happens, you guys, when you think that you can outline, cheat outline? I mean, I'm not saying Anna cheat outlined, but some of you are doing it, and you know you're doing it. And I know you know you're you're doing it, and you need to shake it off because depend on the forms to do it for you. Okay? And it was just a bit flat. It was sort of like she was moving outside of water, or that she was a painting that was sticking her head out. Do you see what I mean by flat? But now she looks like she's completely emerged, and her neck is now stuck in the painting. It's like she's a painting that's come to life only in the top half of her body, top half of her face, and now it's the full half of her face. And if you want to make it the full part of the body, or the full thing, to just same idea. Cast the shadows off to the edges. Make sure the body is, the edges are there. Remember, edges are needed. Depend on your edges to form. You don't need outlines if you have edges. Okay, tiny little edge work here and there. Not everything is soft edged. Make sure not everything is soft edged. That there are real life edges there. Real actual cuts, sudden cuts in the form. Do you see this halo of darkness you have over everything? It's taking away from the form, making it a bit flat. Make sure you have edges where you need them. The lines are edges that we're trying to point to too much. You need them for cartoons, but you don't really need them for anything else that's realistic. Remember, the darkest shadow of the neck is the area that is closest to the chin. And be careful, actually. What I usually do is get a nice light color. Just get a new layer for safety. And I edge out the edge of the chin here. It's not that the edge of the chin has secondary light source. It's that the shadow under the neck is so strong. It looks like, compared to the skin beside, from our perspective, it looks like the skin is lighter, but it's not really. But there is also just a bit of secondary light sourcing going on. Do you get what I mean? Just a tiny sliver of light to bring the neck, to bring the chin out from beneath the neck. A tiny little bit. Do you see? Merge that down. And that's it. We'll do a before and after. It's 5:40, it's almost 6, really. And after. Before, her lips were dark, and it was the kind of lip that She looks more, she looks less like the facial combination you did earlier. So if you want to take it back to how the lips looked before with that signature lip line that comes with African lips, which is very, very beautiful. It's like a natural lip liner. You can throw that back in there. But make sure, I just want you to make sure, I want to always enforce the idea that you're not outlining. Okay? But I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm just going to leave it the way I made it for you earlier. And then you can change it as you please.